Come back.
She was here.
I already know, I got to figure it out.
Come back.
Yeah, that's awesome stuff.
I love this
Awesome
game.
stuff. This
Oh,
is
good.
like,
Okay,
yes.
good. Well, we're talking about doing a training of trainer course where we can go into more in-depth. I mean, I'm kind of scratching the surface on it. This is what I learned from Roger Mills in that area, and of course some more on one-on-one stuff, but anyway. So, I want to hear.
Whoa.
Go.
Okay, so I realized like lately I've been getting really burnt out and stuff, and I couldn't figure out why. I'm like, what happened to me? I used to be so spunky and happy and, full of energy. Now everybody looks at me and they're like, Chris, you look like hell.
Yeah.
You look tired. What's going on? And, I've been doing my practicum and
Yeah.
doing counseling, and I just realized I'm not being present with these people. I'm, got thinking over here, thinking over this, thinking about that. It's so not present. And it's as simple as that.
That's
Because
all.
I noticed before I was very productive, and life was moving along at a steady pace, and I was doing good. But I noticed I struggle in all my relationships that I'm struggling with. It's because I'm missing that connection.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm not being present with that person. I already got you figured out. I don't want to hear you.
See,
And
now, see, this is really cool for you to see that. Just seeing it is huge.
right.
That's
And the relationships that are good and thriving are because I'm being present.
Yeah, and you're when you have a lot on your plate, we tend to get revved up about staying on top of it. That's very normal. But when you start feeling tired, that's an indicator that you're carrying around too much thinking.
Yeah.
Meaning, when you're in a low state, everything looks more complicated, more to do, it's harder to connect. And again, it's just an indicator that your mind is just full more than you need. And so now that you've woken up to that, that's going to be really helpful.
Right. And see, I know the principles, so I kind of let it go for a minute, and then
There's knowing here and there's knowing here.
Right, exactly.
That's the difference. See, we can say, I know it's my thinking, and if you're still at the mercy of it,
Right.
then you don't know.
Right, it's like a blind spot, like I didn't
That's
know.
it.
Wait a minute, I'm still thinking.
Yeah, this is great
Stop
that you
it.
brought up blind spots. See,
Right.
just the other day, I was talking to Lynn, I said, oh, I'm done with elections, and I'm done with this, and I'm sick of that. They would not let me in. I got cleared, they said, you need an escort. I've been going there since 1996, and all of a sudden so that was the straw for me. All right, that's it, I'm quitting, it's done. And so I was lamenting to Linda about all this, and all of a sudden I looked at her and I said, I'm just really tired right now. And then it occurred to me, my mind's been spinning more than I realized about all the stuff I'm doing. See, I finally caught it. And then that helped me. It was like, okay, because my last Skype session, when I finished, I was exhausted. And I said to myself, oh, you know what that is. And it's somebody I love being with. But I was exhausted, and I thought, oh, Cathy, this is it. So it's good to just wake up to it.
And I love the fact that you are up there, talking about your personal experiences with this. Because I often go, I bet those other three principals facilitators, those bigger guys, they got it going on, and they don't get caught up, and they.
It's not, this is not about how to be in your life.
Right.
This is not how to be present. It's not how to be a great person and connect to the world. It's not about that. We're just pointing you to the blueprint behind it. That's all I do. I'm not here to be a perfect person. In fact, this is just in the last couple of days, because we're all in this together. Nobody has the corner on having it 100% together. Nobody does. So we start to accept our humanity more. Yeah. See, if you think, well, I have to have it together all the time. Do you know how much thought it takes to have that in your mind? I need to keep it all together. Think of the tallest building in the entire world. And then we wonder why we're so tired. So that's great you saw me. And I'm in my life, I'm doing great, I'm energized, traveling, doing this, doing that. And then it's funny, just this week, I was tired, and I wasn't traveling, I was just doing stuff on the phone, we did the nurses, all I had to do was drive up the street, no big deal, but I could feel myself being tired mentally.
Mhm.
And then I realized I was in more than I knew. So I'm like, okay. And then that kind of helps you come
Thank you.
out. Yeah.
I feel a lot better.
And it does, but when you're in school and deadlines and all, it gets crazy, but you are gonna go in and out of it, see? But the more you appreciate, all it is you're just in more thinking, and, you know, let that be okay. Because left alone, it will do itself. Because that's the nature of it.
In staying present, such a big
Well,
thing.
point yourself in that direction. Don't try to be present.
Right.
Just recognize when you're not. You don't have to
Right.
try to be present.
Well, looking back, I realized I really wasn't at all week.
So this is good.
Anything.
So your realization, that's why we used to
Right.
call this health realization. It's your
Right.
realization about it, not trying to be. It's just realizing, oh, I've just been in more thinking. That's why I'm
Yes.
I've realized that trying equals more thinking.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Trying to be present, just
It's
hearing that, trying to get to sleep, trying not to use drugs, trying to lose weight, take your pick. You're
Right.
putting thought on top of thought, that's the nature of it. With good intention, we think, I've got to work hard in there, right? Remember you at the beginning?
Oh, yeah.
And he was so
3.5 days of faith.
He was so sweet because I said, now, here's the deal, Joe.
You're really not getting this.
If you could just listen, and because he kept saying, I know, do you mind me doing it?
No, I share it all
He
the
was so
time.
cute. I know this. And I said, you know, Joe, you really don't. It just sort of went like this.
I think
Remember my notes?
I remember. Oh,
Mind, body,
dreams.
spirit. I had that. I know the 3 principles: mind, body, spirit, and this is this, and this is my chart, and this is my diagram for this. See, I know everything.
Oh, it was so cute.
It was-
He didn't know.
it
He
was
didn't,
hilarious.
he didn't have a clue.
It was hilarious.
But he was so. I took license. Now, if he didn't like what I said, I would have had to backpedal and say, Joe, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. But you had the humility. See, that's the amazing thing. Whereas that guy in the class, no humility. You had the humility. Oh, wait a minute, she's saying something here.
I finally listened.
You finally started, and it was like night and day. It was amazing. It was over that 3 days. It went from one.
Yeah,
to the other.
within 4 hours, I started
It was
seeing it.
amazing.
It was almost
It was
last
amazing.
chance.
I remember.
Yeah.
And you did know a lot. See, we do know stuff. See, I'm not saying you don't know stuff, but you want to use what you know from your wisdom as needed, as opposed to people sometimes they get draggy in their office, they're working, they get up and take a walk. That makes sense. But to impose that on the whole office, all right, we're all going to take a walk, because that's what's going to make us feel better. Well, for some, it's like, well, I don't want to take a walk. So they're taking a walk and grumpy the whole way. You see how we come up with great ideas, and then it isn't one size fits all.
When you were there on Thursday in our class,
Yeah.
you noticed the unrest all of a sudden.
Yeah,
right?
I noticed that,
Because
yeah.
somebody was getting rolled up.
Yeah.
Because he tested.
Oh,
positive.
see, I didn't know what was
Yeah,
going on.
that's
I
because-
picked up on it.
Yeah, and I sat with that. I know that it's not healthy because 2 things. Because 1, he was my friend,
Yeah,
and 2,
yeah.
he
Yeah.
is struggling like me. Because
Yeah.
1,
Yeah.
I'm like, how could he have been so careless?
Yeah.
At least finish the program. We're randomly tested. He finished. Maybe he's going to, and then also at the same time, like that could have been me. That could have been me. And I want to say before I forget that I think me sitting here, thank you, Miss Cathy, has just saved me from relapsing. Because
gonna
it's
help.
thinking about it.
Yeah, it's going to help.
Thought is very powerful, but should I let it have that much power on me? It's just a thought.
And you know what? Here's the thing.
It's just a thought.
It's just a thought.
Passing.
Yeah.
You could pass, or you could let it sit there for a layover, or you can just
Yeah. Nice
fly the
way.
airplane.
And it's funny because, I was teaching the group, see, this is another piece. When you're working with people or a group, I noticed something was up. I'm like, oh, is something going on? Because I was noticing states of mind. I could feel people weren't with me, they weren't settled. So you want to see that. Now, you may not say anything or you may say something, but you wanna see, are people with you or are they distracted, especially with kids? You may get them, you could be with a kid for like 30 minutes. If you get a quality 5 minutes with them, you've accomplished something. So I know in 30 minutes, I may get a window of 5 and it goes in, okay? That's how I see it. Same with your group. I get that group for an hour, I know I'll probably get a good 10, maybe 15 minutes where they're all with me.
If that.
If that. And to me, that's powerful because when people are with you, it goes straight in. It goes straight in. So, but again, you want to have eyes for that. You want to have eyes. How are they doing? Make an adjustment. You know, if somebody's feeling, you know, uncomfortable, check in with that. It's like what I said to Joe. Joe, is it okay that I'm ripping you right now? And if he would have said, well, you know, Cathy, I'm feeling a little, I'm sorry, Joe, we won't do that anymore. See, I'm checking in. I'm always checking in.
Asking permission.
Asking permission. Now, I took license because I know Joe, and I had a feeling he'd be okay with it, but I still check. So you want to see where people are, how they're doing. And either you'll do something overtly or you'll just make an adjustment in your mind. Like, well, maybe we'll do something new or whatever. Time to take a break. Let's take a walk.
I remember you had us
I
go
did.
away.
I said time to take, I could feel the room. Or say something wasn't happening. I see people fade because I forget they've been sitting in class before I even got there. So I know, take a break. When they all come back, everybody feels different, they feel good. I'll go, now, I'll talk about that. So how are we feeling? Feeling great. Well, why do you think you feel so good right now? Well, you gave us a break. And I said, but what happened on the break? See, everything is grist for the mill, you know. And they say, oh, your minds cleared up, didn't they? You got to, you know, because while you were sitting, you were kind of going down. Because your minds are thinking, you know, oh, I'm gonna die, this program's killing me, I can't wait to get out of here. Whatever the thinking is, they say, how do you know that? I can see it, I can see it. So it's really getting a sense of how other people's states of mind are doing. So how is my state of mind doing? How are other people's state of mind? So anybody else have a story about them being listened to in a great way, how that felt?
Well, I have a great one.
Oh, good.
So, when Mark Howard and I were prepping for the addiction video back in 2012, I actually had a relapse,
Okay.
a very mild relapse in the meth use. I actually used meth one night.
Okay.
And it was kind of a one-time thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I shared it with Linda, but at the time it happened, I was like, oh, just devastated after I'd done it. But somehow I had the wisdom to not continue it after it happened.
Yeah.
You know, but I had a lot of trouble thinking about, oh my gosh, Mark and I are going to meet in a week. Oh my gosh, you know, all this guilt and all this, I was just smothered. And I go, I gotta tell him. I can't not tell him. I'm going to do a video with him on recovery and relapse. Oh my God! So I came into the meeting with him in San Mateo, and he knew right away. He's like, oh hey Joe, and is everything okay? You look, you know, what's going on? And so I shared. I told him, I go, this is what happened, and shared the experience, shared my thinking with the experience, and he just listened. Didn't judge me, didn't scold me, didn't belittle me, wasn't, you know, taken aback by what I had done. He just listened, and that made me feel so loved. It's just unconditional, yeah. So, and then it was what it was.
Yeah.
So
And
I
what
couldn't
better-
tell you, huge impact.
No, and because I know Mark, that absolutely does not surprise me. But the other thing about that is, who better can teach now about addiction?
Yeah.
See, because, and I think inadvertently people think, well, I know the principles now, so that means I'm never going to use it again.
Can never happen again.
Never going to happen
Yeah.
again. And unfortunately, we contributed to that in the old days. You know, wow, look at the change in people, and we put them on a pedestal. And they felt then the pressure. And then of course, when you feel the pressure, what starts happening? And then people would go out, and I used to go like, what's going on? And then I had to realize what you're sharing. This is not an insurance policy on anything.
No.
Meaning, how we are out here, see, to me, that doesn't matter. It's our understanding of it that helps us. So it doesn't matter that we fall on our face, or we relapse, or we don't, get with the program on whatever we're trying to do. It's understanding, okay, I obviously was in it and didn't realize it. And that's all that matters.
Well, the funny thing is, Kathy, my thinking got me to do it that night.
Well, of course.
So.
What else would get you there?
Yeah, but and because I was so devastated after I had done it, after I got over the euphoric effects of it.
After you're coming down.
Well, it wasn't even, it was just a few minutes
Yeah,
after, I was
yeah.
like, oh my God, what have I done? But I had the wisdom enough, I heard my wisdom not to continue to engage in it. I did one, whatever I did, and that was it.
Yeah, you realize.
Didn't follow up, so it did come up, and there was some kind of insurance policy in the sense that
That, yes.
it stopped me by realizing I'm okay, everything's okay. Because I did work myself up that night.
Well, I
After
can
the fact.
imagine, I can imagine. See, this is why I think we're different about how we see addiction or how we see anything, is we see it in the context of the principles. So there's no one way to be on the planet. I don't care what people do out here, although I don't agree with people killing people like that. But I see the innocence in it. I see the innocence in that, given the level of understanding, if you don't see it, you don't see it.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it. I'm able to see why that happens, given where people are coming from. So it's not so much what we're doing, it's our understanding of where it comes from.
Yeah,
That's all it is. And there's so much judgment on the manifestation of the principles, and so much focus on the manifestation, that's what bogs people down. Both the people who are in it, as well as people who are with good intention trying to help. They're having a lot of thinking. And then the person's in their thinking, and then you have this, it's harder to get to the core of things. So when I ask the inmates, who's the hardest on you? And what do they all say?
Themselves.
What if I ask this group, who's the hardest on
Same.
themselves? See, we have so much thought about how we should be on the planet. Like there's a little rule book up there that, somebody's checking, and there's no formula, there's no one way. Absolutely, that's all created within us, innocently. It's all innocent. And boy, that means, it just kind of opens the whole thing up. And it gives us more space to be human. Human. We're not going to be perfect. We're not going to be perfect. We try in our minds to, and the nurses too, they're carrying such weight on many different levels, and they're just wiped out. They're with me 3 hours and they're apparently falling out of the chairs. They're so profoundly exhausted. And it's not from the physical stuff, it's the mental carrying the weight. So we all have to have compassion. Even, all right, if you went out for 3 years, see, to me, it's not what you're doing, it's just in that time period, for whatever reason, that was just you trying to be okay, period.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
it. And, to me, whatever helps us to be okay, that's where we are. And then we wake up, we see something a little different, then it shifts. And we see something different, and it shifts. But we're not here to, be perfect. So you gotta knock that off, being hard on yourself. So I think we need a break. Definitely need a break.
Okay.
So go, we have the key to the restroom.
Yeah.